Okay. So in front of me, in front of my screen, I have Monica Jones, who is a performance coach, a wellness influencer based in Arlington, Virginia. Her specialties include nutrition, strength, TRX suspension, and boxing conditioning. Monica is a program director at Bash Boxing, where she delivers boxing technique and functional fitness to the amazing staff and members. Mon believes that movement is medicine. When movement meets community, we grow stronger and better together. I love that. If you aren't sweating it out with Mon in the studio, you're definitely catching her on global Under Armour women's campaigns. Be sure to say hello at your next class or catch Coach Mon at IG at Train with Mon. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. I'm so excited. We have a fellow DMV native. I'm super excited. You are our first interview with the Black Sports Network this year. We aim to give you your flowers while you are still here, to celebrate you and all the phenomenal things that you do and all your dedication in your craft. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I feel like we can end this now. That was it. That was lit. Thank you, Bree.
Mic drop on this interview. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like, all right, well, that's it.
I love it. That's all you. That's all you. So let's kind of jump right in, okay?
Perfect.
At what moment did you know you wanted to become a performance coach, and what or who inspired you?
Honestly, when I think back on trying to pinpoint any specific moment of being like, I'm a performance coach, I really feel like 2016 was definitely the year. I was pretty deep into coaching Orange Theory Fitness at the time. And I was also still doing personal training for a large corporate gym. And mainly, I just started to recognize what people were missing in the group fitness space, in the personal training space, and general population wasn't being empowered as athletes. So, you know, we do what we can in these spaces, but where is the mental, spiritual recovery, just intentional aspect for people in fitness? And I decided that I needed to go a little bit further and dig deeper and say like, hey, yes, you can run for miles and miles, and yes, your lungs are capable, your legs are capable, but if you don't have a set vision for yourself stepping into every session, if you don't have a set vision for what your goal is, then you're not going to behave the way you need to. You're not going to set yourself up for success outside of those miles. So, you know, we can go further and do better together if we have that performance aspect. And it's largely internal. It's so internal. So 2016 was definitely the year. I would just remember moments, especially speaking to clients, my internal dialogue with myself of like, all right, what am I missing the mark on? And how can I find improvement in that process for myself and for others? So it's kind of been that way every year that I started in fitness since 2012, but it just continued to evolve, especially from 2016 on.
Absolutely. I love that. So I see that you're really into holistic practice and obviously the mental aspect of your training, which I love. What are some mantras that you live by that you kind of carry on to your clients and live out every day?
I discovered this mantra for myself literally like 4 months ago, maybe 5 months ago. And I just put it on an Instagram post just out of feeling, but it was paradise is a healthy mind, body, and spirit. So I really feel like when people think about the ideal environment to be in, they think about the palm trees and the sand and, you know, the beach and just good vibes, but those good vibes need to live inside you, and you've got to take care of yourself so that no matter what the environment is, or if you aim to be in that environment, you're in control of yourself. It is my number one mantra. You know, everything starts within, and if we can have the intention to take care of ourselves, we can take care of and achieve anything else that we want to. So everything that I do, my training, ideology, all of it comes from that statement.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
And
yeah, I mean, it clicked one day and I was like, wow, that's the one.
Absolutely. I mean, paradise, that's my happy place. I wish I could show you my room right now. It's like palm trees and, you know, obviously the background is like this aqua. It's just so serene and so relaxing. Like
my little work breakfast nook is just this banana leaf plant. Like I love it. The tropics right here.
I love it. I definitely need to get some plants in my room for sure to kind
plants are a game changer.
Bring some oxygen in. But
yeah,
you know, this past year alone has been a lot, especially mentally, physically, emotionally. We've had to fight social injustices. We've had the election, the pandemic, to say the least. You know, 2020 has been a heck of a year, and now we're moving into 2021. Hopefully some better times ahead.
Yeah.
But how are you doing? Like, how is Monica Jones doing? What drives you to get through your day despite everything that's going on in this world right now?
First of all, thank you for asking me how I'm doing. I think that's I hate to say that it is a trend, but like it's definitely been a trend in my life to ask people how they're doing and to intentionally listen to them. And I feel like so many of us who have shouldered racial injustice in their life have, you know, defined who they are and what they're capable of doing based on how others have treated them their whole lives or what they've been born into. And it takes a toll on you every day and it builds up each day. And it can build up in different ways. It can fuel your fire and make you better, or it can also hold you down and kind of keep you believing that you might not be able to accomplish things. But for me, I know that I'm capable. I've seen small glimpses, big glimpses of being able to lead in some sort of way. And I know people are watching. I know there's somebody that can definitely benefit from seeing me accomplish something, from hearing something that I might have to say in my experience, from just witnessing my self-belief and just my readiness to be able to make change. And that's why I do it. I mean, people have asked me similar questions like, you know, what motivates you? And I rarely have specific motivation, but I do feel like I'm constantly in thought of the people who can't do what I do.
Wow.
There's just so many people. They can't do what I do, whether it's because, you know, they weren't able to go to school because they got to take care of their family, or, you know, they are missing a limb because of some unfortunate incident. And I feel like there's no need for me to drag my ass to the gym, excuse my language, or, you know, drag myself to work if somebody is dying to be in my shoes. There's just no way that I can show up and be mediocre with that in mind. So it's like, you know, I have my days, but you got to lean on your tribe. You got to know your people and you got to know yourself, because without it makes life random. You know, you might randomly be in a good mood. You might randomly be in a bad mood, but your work ethic is going to be determined by, you know, that self-sovereignty, that understanding of what you're capable of.
Absolutely. I love that you've taken the optimism route, because I feel like this whole time has been a period of grief, and it's like you can make a choice to stay in that grief, or you can, you know, move forward and try to create lemonade from these lemons that we keep being dealt, right?
Yes.
It's definitely a better way to go in terms of trying to make something out of this year alone. But you mentioned something and you said, know yourself, which is huge. Know yourself, know your worth. Word up to Drake. I'm a stan.
Me too. Let's not lie.
Let's not lie. But he says, know yourself. And I want you to describe yourself in 3 words. Who is Monica Jones? 3 words.
3, you know what? I'm like a firm believer in simple is really, really necessary. Number 1 is faithful. I am a faithful servant of God. I am 100% in my belief of myself because of a higher power. And that's really what moves me. That's what gets me going, allows me to, you know, if I hit a wall, I rest on it and then I break straight through it. It's just, faith is everything. Imperfect. I'm very imperfect, not perfect. And I have grown to love that more and more. I think, you know, I turned 30 last year and I there was not a more favorite quality about myself than imperfection. It was like, if I were perfect, I wouldn't have anything to talk about. I wouldn't have anything to work towards, you know? So being imperfect is it is my most relatable quality. And it is my most purposeful quality. And lastly, I'd say I'm loving.
Okay.
There are people who have been, you know, raised in a loving environment. I'm fortunate to have some of those people in my life. And there are some people who have been raised or who have grown into a more cold environment, and one that has taught them to give love because they know what it feels like to not have it. And like, I think I'm somewhere in the middle, but you know, loving my clients, I will love them, nurture them, and still be hard on them. But there's a need to grow, and a good balance of being a loving, empathetic, faithful, imperfect person is just, I think, a great equation for a coach and just for a human being.
I love that.
I'm saying that I think I'm great, which is something that took a long time, but it's nice to know yourself, like you said, like Drake said.
Absolutely. Word up to Drake. You look like when I do my research, so definitely had to do my research before I hopped on this call. It looks like you love what you do. Looking at your socials, it's like you embody your passion every single day. And a lot of people cannot say that about work. It's like, I'm collecting this paycheck.
So many.
I'm probably some of your clients are like, I'm collecting this paycheck. Let me get to the gym so I can like work off the stress that I just, encountered.
Absolutely.
Right. We have seen that this time alone, gyms have been closed. It's been hard to connect with people. I mean, like I said before, like I love the gym. I miss the gym. How have you been able to connect virtually with your clients and still make headway and still do phenomenal things for, to change their lives and help them through their own fitness journeys?
Man, the panda bear, COVID
panorama.
There was a huge turn last year for me. There are some potential greatnesses that I was hiding from. I was pretending I was too busy for. And then to have the mental break at some point in like early April, I was like, I'm going through it. My people are going through it. And I was like, I need to allow myself the time. And I just got really introspective at the time and was like, okay, so what is it that I need right now? I'm snacking all the time because I'm stuck at home. I'm feeling sorry for myself and not getting out of bed at a reasonable time. You know, I'm letting my boyfriend make my breakfast and eating the same amount as him. And he's, 6'4" and weighs 200 pounds. Like, why are we letting these things happen? And who else needs somebody to hold them accountable? Who else needs to feel community and feel support? So I ended up starting a program called Adapt. Okay. And I originally created a macro building program, how to take care of your nutrition guide. And it turned into so much more. Every single week, I was just called to speak on steps to self-actualization and self-awareness. I was like, it doesn't matter what kind of hardship you're facing, no matter what, if you have a firm sense of belief, your firm sense of your values, then you're going to direct all of your decisions and direct all the people you have in your life and direct all of your plans based on that very firm understanding. And as Adapt started to roll through, as did George Floyd's murder and Ahmaud Arbery, and it just started to turn up into so much more. And so I started to sit with my group of athletes, and we just would talk through steps to self-actualization and self-sovereignty and how it is that we can be our best and really take care of ourselves so that we could take care of others, so that we could expand our minds. And that was a transition. It was the height of my growth as a performance coach because it was all spiritual, mental. It had nothing to do with exercise, although we did exercise, but it was, I really started to truly understand what was important, and getting uncomfortable was what we all needed. We needed, so that happened. And for Bash Boxing, it was attest to our true gangster. It was literally like, okay, what are we about to do for our people? We went live every day for our community on IG. You know, we went through the pains of like, oh man, they're cutting us off because of the music. Oh man, technology. And we literally never asked any money of anyone. We did not transition to a platform of Zoom or anything to take money from our members. We were like, we know you're hurting, we're hurting too. Let's do this together. Wow. And we were able to give to our full-time employees with donations. And
I love it.
Out of the goodness of their hearts, like they kept us afloat, we kept them afloat. And as we've reopened and, you know, worked to begin to set roots for the future of group energy and group fitness, you know, to preserve what that is in a time where people feel like they need to be far away and, you know, not connect. We called upon each other. We became leaders, spoke up about injustices, started to really take introspective looks as a team, started our diversity and community relations committee, and just made sure everybody was heard. And we were able to, you know, do great things with virtual fundraisers for Black Lives Matter, for the Northern Chamber of Commerce from Virginia. And we also were able to partner with Casa for Kids DC. So just raising, you know, over $4,000 for those who are in the foster care system and for the youth in DC was huge. It was something where I was like, hey, it's a pandemic. Some of us don't have jobs. Some of us don't have, you know, loved ones right now. Like, are we about to keep giving? Are we going to keep paying it forward? And it's just one of the most fulfilling things we've done. So we're standing stronger and better, but it has been a grind.
I hear you, but it sounds like,
a
lot of pivoting, but you are very conscious and informative on your platform. And with everything, yeah, absolutely. With everything that happened this past year alone, and where we were at in April, May, and June, and seeing these things live on our computer screens, on our TV screens, seeing them happen before us, seeing the uproar and seeing the, you know, breakdown of just everything in this country after it all kind of happened, you know, how would you describe your activism and how do you want to bring more of these crucial issues to the forefront in 2020? Because now we're talking action. We're talking like, okay, these things happened and they were terrible and they were not just, and we need to move towards a more equitable society. Like, how do we move forward in terms of action, not just talking? And obviously you're about that action. So what's next in 2021 for you guys?
We're going to continue on with our very simple plans. You know, I've discovered out of the grace of God what it means to be aware, to be conscious, and it's self. I did an IG live that right now stands alone because I wanted to do a multi-part series for online community, but it was about that self-awareness. It was about looking yourself in the eye and taking care of you. If you can't take care of you, you make no contribution to others, at least not long-term. You know, you'll burn out. You'll realize that it's hard to stand on your moral ground if you're not fertilizing that ground and taking care of it for yourself. You're never going to see clearly or be open-minded to other people's views or to embracing them or to fighting for what you believe in if you're not aware of who you are and what you believe in. So that's always been health activism is where I stand. You know, I love it. Where do I make my greatest contribution? This is where it's been. I don't need to reinvent it. But what I do need to do is hold myself accountable to keep learning and to make sure that I'm sharing my resources and becoming a resource to others and never downplaying how important it is to listen to someone else, because as we found, our rates of homicide, of suicide and depression are just climbing, especially in the Black community. And if we don't start to lean on one another, if we don't start to really, really unite and, you know, start to bring views like the importance of voting and understanding why it is that, you know, our lower levels of government are actually more important, if not just as important as who our president is,
Absolutely.
then we're going to be in the same cycle constantly, right? And it only gets more violent. It only gets more drowned out. And, people's, their agendas only become more clear and harder to combat. So 2021 for me truly is about continuing to keep the same service in place. How is it that we can serve and give to others, but also like, how do we hold ourselves accountable, continue to learn and take action? When it was time to go and march, when it was time to speak out on platforms and talk about uncomfortable scenarios. I'm in a predominantly white area, and many of our members are white or they're not Black. And I didn't realize, how much they were behind me, no matter what I could say, how much they truly were behind me. I realized that community, as much as my own very close blood relatives, loved ones, best friends, how much they actually were ready to pull up. And it meant a lot, and reminded me that I got to keep leading. I got to keep going. Because that's this small community. It's huge in my eyes, but this small community is what the unity of all of us as small communities coming forward is a force. And, it's just about continuing the processes. Are we going to continue to partner with organizations like CASA? Are we going to continue to keep having and hosting those, Sweat Talk Vote events? Shout out to them. Great organization. Are we going to continue to be a vessel for change? So, it's just about keeping it simple and staying dedicated to the cause for 2021.
Absolutely. I love that. And having a sense of community, especially at this time, is huge. It's huge. Even if it's virtually, having that sense of community to be able to lean on, especially in times of distress, and just be able to say, oh, there go my people. That's huge. So I love that. And I'm happy that you have that, because a lot of people do not and have been really struggling during this time.
Yeah, we gotta continue to speak up. We have to find a way to find them and for them to find us. And, that's why, as scary as it is to speak out, sometimes you just never know who could discover, how you can become connected with someone. You can really save lives from speaking up, from listening, and getting uncomfortable.
Absolutely. I think that's been a main theme this past year alone, getting uncomfortable, whether it's with yourself personally or, obviously with so many things going on, and learning more about equity and inclusion and all of that and what that entails and the action behind it. So that is huge. To kind of pivot a little bit, because I know we've kind of been talking about some heavy material. Can you tell me about how this Under Armour athlete sponsorship deal came about? Like, you are doing your thing, you're on these ads, you're doing these campaigns. How did this come about? I'm so fascinated.
Honestly, when I began on Instagram, I guess it was 2012. I think I got on Instagram. 2014, I decided I wanted to have a blog. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I knew I wanted to share my journey. And when Instagram became a thing, it was literally just about sharing photos in the most basic form. There was 8 really bad filters that you can put on your stuff. Like, I still have to post there because sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh. But when I decided that I wanted to be a sponsored athlete around 2015, 2016, truly, like, I started a blog and I was like, all right, well, I'm a big runner, but now I want to try out doing HIIT, and now I'm going to try out doing this. And my hopes to heal body dysmorphia, I had, I was mildly bulimic. I was definitely in a phase of trying to change myself to be like someone else. But then I was like, I just know this, like, I'm capable of different things. I want different things from this person, and I know someone else wants those things. So like, I got to really work on being my best me. Absolutely. And I started to step more and more into that purpose. It was like a long journey, but one where I can only earn those insights if I go through it. And so I was posting literally with the intention to have some sports performance brand sign me. I was like, it would be so cool to be an ambassador. But then it became more important to be an athlete. And that's where the alignment of Under Armour came into play.
Mm-hmm.
Every single piece of my journey of, posting content that was going to help my ideal client and showing pieces of what I was struggling with and what I learned and how I could pay it forward, posting tips, engaging with the community, all those things started to add up. And, I was probably somewhere in maybe around somewhere between 7 and like 8,000 followers at the time that we decided to start Bash. Our CEO, Alex Trakis, we were managing an Orange Theory at the time. I was her head coach and she was a studio manager, and she's an ambitious woman. She was like, I need my own thing, and just whispered to me. And I was boxing for about 2 years at the time. She's like, and boxing's it. Boxing's the next thing. So I'm about to do this. And I was like, I'm about to make your program. Like, I loved making workouts. And I was like, oh, we can do this. And so we started to market Bash Boxing. There was a huge promotion video, and I believe that's how Under Armour discovered Bash.
Wow.
And Alex was like, yes. And they were like, and who's this woman? And she's like, that's Monica Jones. And so we signed with Under Armour, both of us. And
wow.
And it's been the greatest alignment of just athleticism, coaching, the culture of self-love and performance. And it's been beautiful.
And the merch has been nice.
Merch is lit. I have too many shoes at this point.
I bet.
Yeah. But the gear makes me better. I've dropped so much body fat since I got signed just over 2 years ago. I've just signed for another 2-year contract with them.
Wow.
And we're a family. We are a team. The women on this team, Alex and I were the first 2 athletes to start this round of athlete ambassadors. But the women on this team host the most special, empathetic, loving, and genuine athletes that I know. It's incredible how we've come together, and we are really a supportive force for one another. And then, of course, shout out to the guys too, but like future is female. So
let me give some snaps to that.
Yes.
I love it. And speaking of women and phenomenal women, this interview is going to air during Women's History Month, which I'm extremely excited about. This month oftentimes does not highlight Black women enough and all the beautiful intersections that we have to offer. When you think of Women's History Month, and obviously the phenomenal women that you get to surround yourself with, that you get to go through life with, what stands out to you in your mind that is part of our history that you can relate to?
Part of our history? God, I thought about this, like the Serena Williams of the world, and just the powerhouse athletes who did it anyways. Those are the women that I literally just, my mind is blown by. But even more so, and I love the making Black history concept. The women out here, the Black women out here who are raising and supporting and nurturing future leaders who are really doing all that they can to provide to their children. They are our richest history. Whatever it is that we have done generations onwards, from those women, the ones who insisted on going to college, the ones who insisted on working, the ones who insisted on, being as educated, being able to speak out, and supported the men who were ready to put in the work. Those are the women that I constantly am just like, can I please grow to be a Black woman of such strength and power and resilience? The women who have started businesses, the ones who have provided jobs to those who've needed it, provided inspiration to those who aspire to have those businesses. I just feel like those women need to be celebrated in the grandest way. We are so quick to talk about stigmas around Black women, and we're so quick to talk about, our oppression as something that is truly real and something that really does determine a lot of our strength in our day-to-day
and
our success. But we are as resilient as it gets. And those women who've paved the way for me, like the very specific ones, even, you know, my best friend, Tasha, who is 10 years older than me. I don't know if I was supposed to tell you. I tell people we average at like 35 together. Even her, like the mentorship that I got from this woman, you know, a Fordham graduate, a Black ballerina.
Wow.
And people want to pretend like Black ballerinas weren't it. You
Right.
know, she mentored me into really making fitness a career and, you know, not giving up when it was the dry December months of like, nobody wants to pay for personal training and you're eating ramen noodles. Like those women, those are the history that we must celebrate. And, you know, that's what stands out the most to me, because what you do day to day is really what creates the grand celebrated moments. You know, it's really not that moment of standing on the podium. It is the dark nights and the long hours that you train. It's the moments where, you know, you're at home, maybe by yourself, feeding, supporting your children, where you're putting together a business plan while you also work at somebody else's business so that you can have something to stand on, something to own, something to call your own and pass on to your children. Like those are really the women for me. That's our deepest and, you know, just Black history and women that we must celebrate, because here we are.
Ooh, here we are. Ooh, I felt that, like, spiritually. I felt everything that you were saying, like, spiritually.
I live in these moments and I'm blessed. I'm blessed to live in this awareness in these moments, because like the moment that I've started to understand that and to get deep in purpose and to have this holistic practice, I've been very resilient and just blessed. And there are more good days than bad days. And it means so much, because that's from the dedication of other women.
Absolutely. I love that. Now, what advice, what advice would you have to younger women coming behind you who are trying to figure out how to own their own business, how to own their own brand, how to train and motivate people to be their best selves every single day and essentially, you know, embody that passion and that fire that you have? Like, what advice do you have to them?
Truly, like, just that self-care is your greatest contribution, you know. And when I think about my younger years, and I share a lot of these stories because I wasn't an extraordinary athlete. I wasn't, you know, somebody's favorite midfielder or favorite mid-distance runner in indoor track. I was just somebody who knew I could help others. I could make them feel better. You know, the tremendous pressures of my teammates, the struggle that I've seen other people go through in my service industry years. You have a contribution of self. You know, you are here to serve others. And as long as you can take care of you, you can offer your best to others. And the world needs you as you are. You know, if we continue to try to achieve what others have achieved and have the life that they have, then we're missing out on the people who really needed us as who we specifically were, who they could relate to for what we've actually been through and what we actually believe. So, you know, do not try to put yourself in a box. Do not try to make yourself, you know, don't try to make yourself relatable trying to live someone else's life. Be relatable being yourself. Continue to just really have a strong understanding of you. Do the things that boost your confidence, boost other women's confidence, and continue to have that unity together, because you're going to collaborate. You'll make sure that you go to the top together, because it's lonely at the top. There's no point in getting there and celebrating by yourself. You want somebody else up there and you want to see their joy too.
Absolutely.
And, you know, just continue to push to be yourself, to be your best self, because the world needs you as a contribution. You know, if I were Serena Williams, it wouldn't have helped the women of Bash Boxing. It wouldn't have helped the women who follow Train with Mon. It would help the women who love Serena Williams. And then what would happen to those other women that couldn't relate, you know, or what would happen to the people who didn't get to collaborate with me because I was so worried about doing those other things. So truly, there is a path. There is a beautiful manifestation in taking care of you, and, you know, just becoming more aware of what it is that you are passionate about and what you can create a career out of through service. So it's that simple. It really is. Like, I swear, if I could have told 14-year-old mom this, like life would still be really lit, but I would have skipped a couple of potholes and learned some different lessons.
Yeah.
But, there would have been happier days in my youth, but luckily the way that I take care of myself now, like we got plenty more days to go to enjoy. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. It's just take care of you, be yourself,
Wow.
be ready to do the work and get uncomfortable, but you got everything that you need to make it happen.
Absolutely. That is a sound bite right there. That clip alone, boom, we could just mic drop the interview. Woo.
Mic drop. Know yourself, know your worth.
Woo, basically. But you are so in tune with yourself. You're so in tune with your self-care.
Thank you.
And no, you're welcome. Like so many people are not there, and you have to practice this. Everyone talks about, manifestation. Like you literally have to practice your own self-care. Whether that's even, I'm going to go stand in front of the mirror and tell myself this, whether I believe it or not in this exact moment. And I think that's the part that people don't get, because it's like you have to put this stuff to practice. It's not as easy as like, all right, cool, we're just going to do this. We're going to change this all in one day and just, go do it. It takes time. It takes time. Yeah. And you're there and you are dropping gems on us right now.
Thank you. With welcome. Great power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely.
It's literally, you can have great power in technology, but if you're not ready to exercise self-affirmation and self-kindness, then you're going to get on the internet and try to execute some things and not be able to stand firm in your love of self. And then it becomes a really hard battle. And I'm just speaking from like a social media standpoint, but there's great power in the internet. It connects people. It allows us to have so many resources, but it can also make us really sad and really upset about where we are. And so you got to continually affirm. And that's the only way, every day for me is prayer. If I pray before bed, then I'm gonna wake up ready and grateful and ready to get in the bag. But otherwise, the constant practice, if the rising numbers in our anxiety, in our depression, and all those things is because there's a lot of great power out there, a lot of instant gratification in ways, and we're not doing the same for ourselves in the long term. The simple things. I'm a really low maintenance person. My nails aren't even done. I got my eyebrows done last week for the first time in like 6 years.
How did it feel?
I mean, it hurt. Like, it hurt. I got them threaded. I was crying by the end. But, I'm low maintenance, but I know what's important to practice. And I know that, you break it down into small, manageable tasks each day. And then when you feel like you're ready to take on a little bit more, or if there's something that really, really needs your attention work-wise or relationship-wise, then you give it that time, but you do not compromise still doing something for yourself. And that's literally the formula.
I love it. Shout out to you getting your eyebrows started. Like, I have not gotten my eyebrows started this whole pandemic, and I just know the moment that I go, it's going to hurt so bad. Oh, it's going to hurt so bad.
And then you catch those angles and you're like, wow.
Right? Because they do it. They get it done. But it's painful when you haven't gone in a while. So I feel that. Kind of winding down a bit, what do you want your legacy to be? For Monica Jones, what do you want your legacy to be in 2021 and beyond?
This year is a big year for me of stepping into my confidence as not just a leader, but also as a significant, genuine resource. I think coming up in the age of social media, not just in creating programming and helping co-found Bash, but coming up in this age of, it's been years I've done the work and opportunities. I continue to create opportunities, but I need to be able to step into my identity and just show up. And like this interview, I had my manifestation of a great conversation with you, because I was like, we're about to talk as women and we're going to talk to each other. We're going to talk to other women. And if I don't come through and say with my chest how much of a force I am and how much of a force women are, and this is why I am the way I am, then it becomes the truth. The opposite becomes the truth. If I don't continue to push that. So this year, we're walking forward confident. We are continuing to pave the way for more women, young women, continuing to raise funds for those that need it, continuing the conversation and the awareness of what needs to change in our social environment. And then, I'm really looking forward to creating the right program and releasing the right program for people based on mindset and performance. So my brand itself is launching. It's MON. It's mindset, optimization, and nourishment. So how are we going to level up in self so that we can level up in career, in physical performance, and all other aspects? And that launch is going to be pretty big, and I'm looking forward to more collaborations with brands that align with me. So just overall, a little bit of world takeover.
I love it.
Bringing love, joy, kindness out to the masses, and I'm really looking forward to it. And the legacy forever is going to be that paradise. Paradise is a healthy mind, body, and soul. And the more people I can present that to, and the more I can get that concept out there, the better.
I love it. I love it. Just so practical. Like, we're doing this. We're getting it done. Boom.
Oh, and we are franchising Bash Boxing. So
I love to see it.
Boxing.
I can't wait to pull up to a class when, the pandemic is over.
That energy is about to be, it'll blow the speakers.
I love it.
It's going to be great.
I already know I'm in for a workout. I've done cardio kickboxing before, so I feel like
hips.
Yes, I feel like boxing is kind of in the same realm without all the kicking, but the burn is the same, and I feel like I'll be laid out on the floor. So
people just, when you start punching and you use your arms and more as much as your legs, you're like, wow, this is a different world. There is no sport like boxing. Not a single one. And it's just the most beautiful sport. It is the sweet science. It's something that has empowered people, women especially, in the fitness realm. But yeah, definitely trying to get a fight in this year. It's been hard sparring with a panorama. But yeah, we got big things in the plans for 2021. I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person. This was wonderful.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to meet you in person, and knowing that you're so close, DMV native.
Oh yeah, I'm around. I be in PG County like every couple of weeks, so.
I love it. I love it. That kind of smooth gets us into these quick fire questions. Are you ready?
Yeah. Yes.
Basically, these are either or questions. You have to answer in one sentence or less, or one word.
Okay.
Cool. Those are the rules. Okay. DC, MD, or VA?
DC.
Okay. PG County or Anne Arundel?
PG.
Yes. What's more important, diet or exercise?
It's not possible, but I'm going to go with exercise.
Okay. Favorite cardio exercise?
Boxing.
Favorite lift?
Deadlift.
Ooh, tough. A cause that you really care about?
Wow, there's a couple. Really care about, man.
Oh, this is tough.
It is tough because I'm like, man, I've been really we're about to raise funds for No Kid Hungry. So I'll say No Kid Hungry.
Okay.
Right now.
I love it.
I still care about all the other ones, but yeah, we're about to do this virtual workout with them. So
absolutely. I love it. Raising the funds virtually.
Feed them.
Last one. Favorite cheat meal?
It's so wild how this is just I've growing woman now. I believe my favorite cheat meal now is, right now it's a burger from Souprette in Ballston Quarter.
Hidden.
Unmatched. And I was never a burger person like that. Like, I was like, oh yeah, we need pasta or sushi, but that burger is hidden. It's hidden.
I love it. I love it. And that is it. Monica Jones, thank you so much. This was a phenomenal interview. You are my first interview of this series. I'm so excited. I can't wait for it to come out and for the people to be enlightened. And to
This was great.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let me plug your socials at Train with Mon, TRAIN with WITH. Mon, MON, and look out for some dope stuff from you coming very, very soon, and all the virtual classes and all of the great things that you are doing.
Thank you. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. I'm going to stop this recording.